Hi, I'm Buck Moore. I started B4UShowit.com to bring a fresh face to the audiovisual. Screw, damn it. Hi, I'm Buck Moore. I started B4UShowit. Okay, I'm ready. My colleagues and I have direct experience working with over 3,500 events. Sorry. Not only that, we give opportunities and other continuing. We're the new kid on the block. The faces of. We're the new kids on the block. No, I can't say that. We're the new kid. I'm trying. It's frustrating, isn't it, for you to listen to this? Okay. Yeah. I need a water break. I can't deal with this pressure.
Why are you here? Ask yourself, why? To simply breathe? To produce bodily fluids? To procreate, hunt and gather in a group, figure out the mysteries of life? To pay tax? We all do that stuff. But what makes you so special? There isn't necessarily a profound reason why any one of us should be here. The only thing we know for certain is that we were all born into this world. And, unless a person is born into wealth and prosperity, they have to pretty much invent their own reason for being here. And not only to try to survive, but to try to thrive. Because what keeps us thriving is the will to live and the desire to accomplish great things. And if we must exist on this planet, why not develop a personal, compelling reason for existing? Do you like what you do? Why are you doing it? For money? To build a legacy?
Starving artists will say, I'm not doing that because I want the money. I'm doing it because I like doing it.
My name is Buck, and I like my work. But most people tell me that work sucks and that they hate their jobs. I'm on a mission to change the perception of work. Work is only a bad word when associated with the word job. It means something entirely different when we use the terms life's work or body of work, collections of accomplishment. Everyone has to work at something for someone. Nobody is alone because our work always affects others no matter what we do. If we have to work for a good portion of our lives, we may as well find ways to enjoy the work we don't want to do and live for the work we desperately want to accomplish while finding initiatives to change things that aren't working for us. My mission? To change the perception of the word work and to find ways of improving our working lives by building better workplaces. So you didn't win the lottery. Welcome to the rest of us.
If you could include one thing in your life's work, what would that be?
Teaching.
Oh, definitely helping others. I believe if you're fortunate enough to do what you love doing, especially in your career, that you should give back to others.
Writing.
Writing?
Yeah.
My parents are from Africa, so I've always wanted to go back to Kenya where my parents are from and build a school or something there, because I think education is important.
Oh, that's very general.
Don't really know.
That's a hard question.
I think the younger generation don't really know what to do, what path to take. We're kind of lost because we think so much and we're brought up a certain way, but we're supposed to be so open to things because we live in the society. So it's like, even with money, with economics, with political, with culture, everything, it's included, you know what I mean? And you get caught up and you don't know which way to choose.
I'm doing it, hosting my own show. Hi Oprah, I love you.
Thank you very much. And if anybody could use this information, on the back there's helpful tips to create like a better workplace, a more positive work environment, for any type of work people are into.
If this was more standard, workplaces would be much nicer to work in. I think both for consumers, whether it's retail or dealing with agents, and for customers too, because reliability is what you come to depend on from whoever serves you.
I totally agree. I mean, do you see this kind of thing as an uphill battle? I'm just curious what people think.
Bill 168, which has been ascended completely, comes into place on June 15th. This is now, as of June 15th, a lot of this is becoming law because the person on the receiving end of an angry voice, of being, talked to in a rough way, can actually complain of a harassment to the employer without fear of reprisal from the employer, and have it taken care of in a lawful way through the Ministry of Labour.
Have you heard of this Bill 168? I haven't heard of it. I think it's a great idea.
And when we're talking about complaints, as been pointed out in here is Bill 168, that's fine, where somebody can go and complain about their boss and say, you know what, I'm putting this complaint in. Is this a good thing? Well, it is. It is, because it gives them a feeling that, you know what, if this person goes too far, I've got some recourse. We also have Bill C-45, which it's the responsibility of the worker/member as well as management to have a safe and healthy workplace. This is the law. This isn't a contractual issue. This is the law.
One question about Bill 168. How the heck did we get here? Who's turning a blind eye to this stuff? Why is there workplace violence? We could prevent a lot of that stuff just by treating people differently in the workplace. My second question about Bill 168 was, what took it so long?
I believe the sign of a good work environment is when those members or / employees are actually doing the job because they want to do the job, they enjoy doing the job, and their pulse rate isn't at 90.
What drove me out of my last job was the stress level. And I thought about, in retrospect, you look at it and say, I could have did this, I could have done that differently. But when you're immersed back in the situation and you're under the pressure, it's not so easy to make those decisions.
One of the major issues that I deal with is long-term disabilities. And the stats are quite clear on what causes many physical issues and of course many mental issues is stress. I deal with 2 insurance companies and their statistics bear out that more physical ailments as well as psychological ailments, 75% are directly related to stress.
What a great big waste of time, following the lines, in and out of subways. But I'll do this every day, until I'm old and gray. And even that seems like a small price. I would wear that freaking tie, and work from 9 to 5. If that meant coming home to you, I can change the way I am, be a better man. There's nothing I won't do. I feel fine. Let the surgery begin. I want to be more like them. I feel fine. Let the surgery begin. I want to be more like them. More like them. More like them.
There's so many different issues, but you have to be extremely meticulous, and you have to be extremely passionate and meticulous, and you have to cross your T's and your S's and your Q's, because it's a very intense environment, and it's a very intense work pressure that you have.
In Kenya, and particularly in the slums, they don't have a healthy attitude towards the media. In fact, the week before I'd started shooting Matatu Express, a train had derailed outside the slum, and everybody, when the local news organizations were shooting the train derailment, local people came up and started throwing rocks at the media. And this happened just like a couple days before I started shooting. Luckily, I had a guide that grew up in Kibera, But that was it really. My driver would just sort of drop me off, park his vehicle, and I'd be alone there with my guide.
Certain jobs are inherently physical and messy and dirty by nature, and there's very real aspects to the job that involve, lift assisting people who have soiled themselves, and you see and have to do and have to deal with very, very ugly things. Bodily fluids can be really gross and disgusting, but it's all part of it. And there's so many great things about my job that I don't count that as a negative. It's just another part of what I do.
What was the hardest moment on the job?
The hardest, learning how to be a street performer. You have nothing to say to the people. You have to find a way to get the people to listen to you. It's nice to juggle a lot of 7 pins, do a lot of tricks, but you have to get the people to listen to you.
And then the next day I finished the trailer, which I finished at 10 o'clock p.m. Went to bed at midnight, got up at 4 a.m. and started packing for the trip. And so the show was Thursday night, starting at 7, Friday afternoon starting at 1, and then reconvening again at 7 after a supper break. Same thing Saturday, 12 bands in a row Sunday with no break. And then Monday, the return trip here, which was the most problematic. My car started to overheat on the last bit of the journey up north. So on Saturday, I took the car to Canadian Tire, had it fixed up supposedly, hooked up to the trailer on Monday to come home, got not quite to North Bay and it started to overheat again. So it ended up taking me 14 hours to get home, limping an overheating car with the heater on full blast and all the windows open.
Limping?
Limping. Well, running a car that wasn't running right.
Oh, the car was limping.
Yeah,
okay.
The car was limping.
But your leg was fine.
My legs are fine, yeah.
Anyone who's been in a workplace knows that whether you're a boss or whether you're someone who reports to someone else, if you're someone who reports to someone else and they walk up to you and they throw a stack of files on your desk and say, do this for tomorrow, and then they walk away, that doesn't really inspire you to get the work done in a really effective manner and really get it complete. What inspires you to get work done is if someone comes over with a stack of papers and says, you know what, you're really good at organization. My organization skills are not that great, so if you could take this stack and if you could organize this for tomorrow, that would be awesome. Is that something you think you can do for me? It's really important to get the distinction between a demand and a request. When you make a request, people generally will say yes. And a request is not only asking them to do something, but a request is really getting clear on what their strengths are, letting them know that you need them as a part of your community in order to complete your plan.
I think a good leader should know all roles and be able to step in to that role when necessary. Right? Even for me, I used to work in a kitchen, and a lot of the times I had problems with the leadership because they weren't willing to step into those lesser roles. For instance, as an example, if a dishwasher doesn't come in, instead of the dishes piling up, it would be great if the leader could step in and help out in that aspect, right? The leader should be the person who's kind of helping out where things are failing at all points.
I've been fortunate to have a couple really good leaders, one of whom was my captain who just retired after 35 years. His philosophy, and it's something that I will always remember, was that you don't ask your crew to do something you're not prepared to do yourself. And that man cleaned the bathrooms on chore day, like in there with the rubber gloves, cleaning the urinals every Saturday he was working until the last Saturday before he retired.
It is definitely a situation of management and union that have to get together to make a work environment feel more relaxed.
When you're panicky and distressed and all over the place, you can't make rational decisions.
Most people do not want to do what they really want to do because they don't see the money in it.
When people get up in the morning, how many people say to themselves, geez, I can't wait to get to work? There's not too many. There's not too many.
I like what I'm doing. I enjoy going to work, which, I mean, we were talking about earlier. Not a lot of people can say that they do.
In the 70s, everybody wanted to be a rock star.
Yeah, I hear you.
I'm a firm believer what some of the things they talk about in Fight Club. You know, we all grew up being educated and socialized and culturalized into this mindset that we're going to be rock stars, actors, famous writers, or, you know, world-renowned scientists, doctors, or whatever, you know, and the education system doesn't do that for you.
I fear that some like younger people will go, I don't want to go get a job flipping burgers, and I'm thinking, you're 16, like.
Yeah, that's a valid point, and I hear that an awful lot, and that's what I'm saying. Like, people are already shooting for the stars when they're getting out of elementary school.
I had an issue with engagement of students where I've noticed that the smartphones and the computers were hindering my processes of education because, you know, some people are on Facebook.
Right.
And I had to come up with a new way of engaging students. I had to come up with a new way.
Right.
So I don't know. Do you see that? Well, when you were teaching, did you see that, like the smartphone things?
I see it kind of every day. I feel old because, you know, you're starting to like, that's not music. And when in my day, we used to send mail and, you know, even like call waiting. There was no call waiting. You know, you got busy and you had to call them back all the time. So now it's like with Facebook even, it's like, oh, you know, I like your picture, or I poked you, or hey, how you doing? And then you meet them on the street and it's like, I don't know how to interact in person.
To learn to fit into life properly, go dig a ditch, rake some leaves, go flip some burgers. There's no harm in that. It's going to do you more good than it's going to do you harm.
We're going through a new phase with this digital era, and we're remembering the way things were when we were kids. And it's like, well, that's not how you do things, but the kids love it, right? That's how they interact, and they like texting, and they like being able to talk to people without being face to face. But definitely the downfall is when you need to do like a job interview.
As far as youth going in, I just would encourage everyone to practice discipline with it. That it doesn't have to be the be-all end-all. You don't have to be on your phone. And I find some people are really losing the ability to just straight up interact.
This world's all about the client. And you gotta have a thick skin, you gotta let things fall off your shoulders and just suck it up and take it.
Another thing is you can't take things personally in this business because things can always go wrong. Equipment's going to always fail, or maybe you can do something wrong that people doesn't like, and you can't be, again, you have to be extremely thick-skinned.
Everybody has an ego. Their egos, and some are bigger than others, where some of them don't even fit in a building. If you stomp on somebody and somebody who's important and who can get you somewhere, you've lost that chance.
He taught us, Buck, in our class, right? And we were like brand new kids going into school wondering what audio is going to be and how it's going to feel like when you're in the real world. And right now, we've been in the real world for over 7 years right now, and it feels great.
So the question is, are the struggles worth the effort?
Are the struggles worth the effort,
yeah.
And why?
You know what, it's something, I won't lie, it's something I sometimes ask myself. But really, you have to love what you do. I mean, you have to have a lot of passion and love your story. Because this isn't an easy life. This is a life of a lot of like craft dinners, and the worst part about it is putting so many hours into it and not necessarily getting recognized for your efforts. But ultimately, I like to think that over time it does happen.
He was very much the captain on the fire scene, but he was very calm under pressure, and I think that really translated down as well. And he just spoke into the microphone like it was like a false alarm or a carbon monoxide call. It was just no different, and that, I think, translated, kind of rippled down, and then everybody was able to just concentrate on what they had to do when they got there.
For my own personal well-being was dude, stay calm, man. You know, just stay real, stay calm.
If there's any one way to improve a workplace, what would that be?
Hire friendly people.
Hire friendly people? Oof, I don't know.
For me, better pay.
If there's any one way to improve your workplace, what would that be?
Probably like work events to help the morale of the office.
Just based on my personal work experience, I don't do very well in a dictatorial work situation, and I would love to work somewhere that was more like a cooperative, where they sort of respect the employees enough to let them play a part in the decisions, and where I don't feel like if I'm 1 minute late, I'm going to get written up or something like that. So I feel like they need to trust the employees more and treat them like people, you know.
A workplace where people aren't afraid to speak up if something is wrong, because a lot of times you've got the herd mentality of if I say something, everybody will know it's me, and it kind of like creates a bad rep or bad energy. So usually people don't say anything, and that's when it escalates.
In my last job, I worked at a grocery store, and I kind of felt like I was being taken advantage of. So
Friday afternoons off.